Hello everyone, welcome back. More chess. We're playing a 10 plus 5 game here against Vandalissimo. Something I tried to say in, I don't remember if it was the last video or the one before. We talked some about how, like, I don't think studying openings is the right thing for me right now. And I still agree with that, but one point that I wanted to mention that I kind of forgot was that, like, it really feels like I should be studying openings all the same, right? Like, I keep, like, dropping pieces and stuff in the opening, and I'm like, I know how I could improve. I could learn one opening. Hmm. I guess that does support this, huh? And so all that to say, I can understand why players are often like, maybe I should learn an opening. How do you dislodge this, or do you just like? Huh. Maybe you just accept that you're ahead in piece development if they want to try to hang on to the pawn? Well, you don't need to do this. They're not pushing there. I mean, all the same, this is a good spot for the piece, I think. I was thinking I should maybe switch to 1510 as like a somewhat a slower time control. When you hear stronger players play, they're like, try playing at least 1510. If you play anything, if you play like 5-2 or something, you're not really, well, the closer you play to bullet, the harder it is to learn good technique. Oh, this would maybe be a thing, huh? Maybe that was what I was supposed to do to defend this. Well, no, this pawn is actually defended by the bishop. What was I talking about? Oh my goodness, this is interesting. Now this comes with check. But maybe that's not a problem? Oh my god, it is a huge problem. Isn't it? Well, check. King could run, but then queen here is pretty good. Probably checkmate, right? With like, king here, queen here, king here, queen here. Maybe it's not checkmate because you get this, but it's like obviously not a good position. So the other legal play would be this. Huh. I don't immediately see a way to dismantle that. We could like sack the bishop, kind of forcing this, and then queen here. But we haven't really accomplished much, I don't think. Weird opening. I can't even move the queen here because there's a dang old knight in the way. Okay. Well, that would have been nice to notice. Let's just castle. Getting a major piece on this file looks pretty useful. This pawn could use some support. This seems like a very strange move. This is exactly the diagonal that I want to be, that I love to have open. I wonder if I can push my e-pawn now? Because obviously they can just take, but you know, this would be the only way to retake and stay up. Okay. Or if I should support it more like this first. I want to make this pawn move so that I have this diagonal into the center as well. And I think I will retake with the knight, landing me good control over these spaces, rather than like trying to delay that and say do this immediately. And then start supporting the knight with my pieces. Also, it opens up this space for the queen finally. So what if we did that? I don't know how great that would be. Well, this pawn is obviously the issue. Wait a minute. This fork is working, right? The bishop's guarding the knight, and we just pick up the rook for free? Well, not for free. They can do something like this and come out with the bishop in the end. Oh, no, they can't, because they have to move the queen. And they can't... they can't move her to any particularly proactive square, so I think we do just get the rook, and even if the knight ends up trapped, which he may or may not, it's fine. I think he probably won't, in fact. I don't know. We'll see. This is his obvious escape, and it might not be available for him in the future. Does that work? Check. Block. Yeah, I don't have enough defense on this piece, or attackers on this piece, and the bishop just falls. Okay. Let's just... where do you put the bishop? Here is like, they just do this. Here blocks the queen, but I guess it develops the bishop threat here. Okay, that's fine. Obviously, this like this pawn triangle is a threat. They're well advanced. It says I'm up 4 here, but I'm not convinced. I think this game is still sort of close. My opponent's much better developed in exchange for the material that I have. So check. Doesn't accomplish that much, does it? Well, the only move they're happy to make is this one, and that lets me get something for my knight. I pick up 2... Oh, that's actually great. I pick up 2 pawns, and then I fork the knight and the king. The knight is defended, but it lets me reduce some of the development advantage that my opponent has. Right, I get decent value for my knight this way. I think is, and the king is extreme. He's like super naked. What's the other thing I could try? This? Threatening the king more, sort of? Obviously something like that actually directly attacks the king. But I don't know if that's really what I want to do. I think I just want to get some value for my knight. Do I actually take this trade? My bishop is pretty cool at the moment. What about this first? It's developing with tempo. Like, how can it be wrong, right? And seeing these two together makes me really hesitant to break up the band, so to speak. Takes is losing because I pick up the knight. So takes, the only way to recapture would be with the king. Seems pretty dangerous, doesn't it? We have stuff like this. And now suddenly I have I feel like I have a development advantage. Oh, I didn't notice that. All right, my bishop is hanging, so I should do something about that. I could defend it with the queen and threaten some stuff, or I could just retreat. Those are basically the two options. There's not a good way to retreat, I don't think. There might not. This defense might not be stable. Let's just back up a little bit. Stay on the side of the board that bishops are happy to be on right now. There's a pretty wide scope, covering a lot of spaces, even though right now none of them are that important. Time is getting to be a factor. We're not... At 3 minutes left, I'd prefer to be a bit deeper in the game. But I'm hopeful that they're exposed enough that I can make something serious happen soonish. Okay, that knight is interesting. Let's just try to break this apart a bit. I don't like it. I don't think that knight's really doing anything. He threatens like these spaces, but they're both defended by this pawn, and I don't mind opening up this rook. I'm like happy about that, even though it ruins my structure a little. Yeah, I mean, okay, you're threatening here, and this is a mate in 2 threat, but I don't think it's a real one. I was about to do this to threaten the knight, but then he just goes there anyway, and that looks pretty stupid for me. Let's just stop the knight from getting any deeper. Creating a flight square. I don't know. Maybe this is wrong because they have the light square bishop. And I want a different flight square. This is just the only pawn that can defend this square, which seems important right now. This is also the pawn that's pinned, so I want it to be in the defended position rather than the defending position. I think this is fine. I was planning to recapture with pawn, but this opens up more pieces. They can do this with tempo, but it's not meaningful. I don't think. It just gives me an excuse to bring my knight into the over to the defense of the king side. He is undefended, so that's a slight liability. But I would be a little surprised to find any tactics against him. Maybe I could have done this as an in-betweener. Attack the knight. That's a strong pawn chain, by the way. This rook's looking a little unstable. But the king is like so unbelievably vulnerable. I think even if I did something like this, you know, which picks up the rook, I don't know if that's worth doing. My king side is more important than this shitty rook. Okay. They're just giving me they're not giving me that. The bishop is here. Whoops. Well, let's deflect that. And I don't know. That is a horrible move. They just take. Well, wait a minute. I could just take this. I could have taken it last move. Okay. So my opponent threw away a piece and I responded by throwing away a piece. Maybe it'll come out okay. And, I mean, it must be said, distracting this knight from the attack is kind of nice. It's probably not worth throwing away a piece. Also, like, this is kind of a threat. I can get my queen in here supported by the bishop, making the king very uncomfortable. What a bad move. What about like queen here instead? That would have been one totally reasonable thing, although obviously picking up this knight. Yeah. So we're forking two undefended pieces. And I think the king side is safe enough with the knight sidelined. Huh. Oh, okay. That's a defense, I guess. Here, forces here. Do I have a follow-up to that? Not immediately. Let's just get a rook in. Should I go with this one? I don't think so. Well, yeah, let's go this way. This is a very serious threat. Rook here would be, I think, checkmate, right? Yeah, so they have to do something about it. What is it? Here? Doesn't work. This place is defended twice. Bishop there doesn't work. Knight here? Defends? Drops the rook, but maybe that's worth it. Check. Take. But then I just bring the other rook in, right? I could also just scoop up the knight, I guess, and that would be checkmate. No, there's bishop blocks. But then rook here would allow king there. I don't know. I think just picking up the knight is likely to be safe enough in practice if they try that. It's probably not the best continuation. There's probably a checkmate more directly somewhere. So I wonder if throwing this knight away was like not the actual worst idea because it got my queen over here with better tempo, and guarding these squares is sort of useful. Okay. Fine. I accept. And bring in the rook. Yeah, this king has got to be dead. He's completely alone, being attacked by 3 pieces. Check. King has to go here. Check. King has to go to the back rank somewhere. Mate. I think this is... I said here, right? Oh, he doesn't have to. Oh, right. No, I said here. Now he really does have to go to the back rank. And even if he goes here, this is defended, so it's checkmate. Right? Right. Okay. No rematches, thank you. Okay, how'd we do? Why is it already giving a computer analysis? Usually I have to ask. Maybe my opponent asked for one? So definitely I think I made a blunder or 2. Is this dip when I threw away my knight? Yeah, it is. Interestingly, I got the position back, like they didn't take advantage of it somehow. But that was late enough. I had a huge advantage enough that it was like, you know, that's not really a blunder. You threw away a piece, but you're still massively winning. Who cares? Why is this going so slow? And how does it have analysis? Oh, maybe it already has all this at the beginning because it knows about the opening book? That makes sense, actually. Usually, you would think of analyzing from the end to the beginning, because to analyze how good a move is, you have to look in the future of like what will happen afterward. And at the end of the game, that's easier. There's fewer moves to look at. Then you go backwards from there. But I guess you can know about the beginning because you have everything in your like opening book. That makes sense. Okay, so 1 mistake, 53 cent pawn loss. That's not too bad for me. Let's have a look at it. What should I have done? No, don't do that to me. I had it. What was my 1 mistake? Show me. Huh. Instead of taking this fork, it says, why don't you checkmate him, you idiot? Yeah, I guess that would be a thing. I feel like that counts as a blunder, right? Anytime you miss mate in 1, that's a blunder. Well, I don't know. If you get mate in 2 instead, I guess that's fine. Although not ideal. But if you get like, oh, I'm up a rook, you probably should have chosen to be up a king instead. Whew. Okay, so what was all this about? I played queen d, or opponent played queen d7, and I played pawn here, which it doesn't really care for. What do you prefer instead? Queen here? Okay, that's more proactive, I guess. It defends this pawn in a different... Well, but no, I thought of this, and I was like, wait a minute, I would love this, except that, right? Ah, but we're also threatening this pawn with check. I guess, right? Here... Well, but... I mean, this... I guess if we go here, we're still defending, right? So what if this? You just take it and say, okay, yeah, I know you almost have mate in one, but A, you're in check, and B, I'm defending anyway. Queen could block, but that just lets me get rid of her, which is basically the opponent's only asset. So, okay, king here. And now, okay, I see. So, you can do this to stop the knight getting here. But if you do this, you don't really care that much that the knight gets here, because this is still defended for a moment, and then you can play this and make them feel really bad for investing a 2 tempo in getting here and being kicked away, instead of just not going there at all. I see. Okay. What was my, well, okay, we wanted to look at this as well. Oh, interesting. It thinks knight here and here are my 2 best moves. It prefers this one, which looks almost as bizarre to me. I did that. So maybe the point that the computer is getting at here, insofar as it's able, is... I don't know. Like, both of these moves open up my queen to attack this knight. So it's not actually throwing away a piece, now that I look at it. It's discovering an attack on an undefended piece. And there's a few ways you could do that. Any knight move does it, right? Here, you know, the knight gets taken by the queen, and then the queen's defending, so that's pretty bad. Here, you know, queen could do this, and then she's attacking the bishop, and that means I can't do this because it leaves my bishop undefended. So these 2 knight moves are no good. These 2 are illegal. This one is probably about the same as here, if I had to guess. The pawn just takes. This move is best because it takes a pawn in exchange for the knight, so I'm not just trading this knight for this one, I'm also picking up a pawn in the process. I think the reason that this one is better than this one... Well, okay, I mean, it's only showing me the 2 best lines. Maybe this one's almost as good. Is that it threatens this knight as well. And furthermore, this knight is a big pain for white if you leave it. So it kind of requires you to come take it, distracting this knight. Which is... I don't know. I don't even remember what I was thinking when I did this. It's a mystery. How bad is this, by the way? Substantially worse. Yeah, because black can sort of just ignore it and try to get the king safer. Whereas these moves these forward knight moves, black can't ignore so easily. This one actually you still kind of like have to semi-ignore. Oh, king here defends, or that's kind of cute. Huh. Okay, I think that's going to do it for today. Maybe that's another reason to try 1510 is that it's a slightly longer video. I don't know, half an hour is probably fine. Anyway, that's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.